Hey planties, welcome back to our channel.
I'm Sophie.
And I'm Mia.
And we're the Plant Hunters. Today we're going to be finding and discussing the 4 major groups of plants found on Earth today.
Before we get started though, we wanted to talk about our honorable mention, green algae.
First, green algae is typically a unicellular organism and its cells will desiccate outside of water.
It also uses flagellated gametes, meaning it needs water to reproduce, and is considered to be the evolutionary forerunner to all plants.
Now that you have an understanding of green algae, let's jump into the 4 major plant groups.
Alrighty planties, we've made it to our second stop of the trip. So if you come with me over here, we'll see our next class that we are speaking of is our bryophytes. Alright, so if you see this little green part here, this is our seductive endoton moss, which is our example of our bryophyte. Whoa, planties, glad you're okay. Almost didn't get you there. So the first adaptation we want to talk about with the bryophytes is the waxy cuticle. So if you want to take a look at our moss here as our example, you can't necessarily see the waxy cuticle, but it's absolutely still there and working in action. So the way the waxy cuticle works, it provides a protective covering over the plant so that excess water cannot get in, which is what allowed the plant to be the first of its kind to live outside of water. It also helps retain water the plant already has, so it doesn't have to exert excess energy getting nutrients. Whoa, planties! We're on to our second adaptation of the bryophytes. So if you come over here with me, I can show you. But I really can't show you because it's not visible to the naked eye, because they contain multicellular gametangia compared to our green algae, which is only unicellular. So this multicellular structure, it protects the gametes of the bryophytes, allowing it to live on land. Hey planties, there's stomata thing I gotta teach you about. The stomata! So come with me, let's have a look. The stomata works by regulating gas exchange while minimizing water loss, allowing them to photosynthesize efficiently in air, which is something that green algae cannot do without being submerged underwater. Wow, what a nice day it is walking on the river. Oh my gosh, planties, look, it's our friend Sophie. Oh my gosh, hey Mia, hey planties, what is up? Today, we want to teach you about pteridophytes. So an example of a pteridophyte that we found right here in Boone, North Carolina is a field horsetail. The first adaptation we want to talk about for pteridophytes is the vascular tissue. Pteridophytes evolve vascular tissue, allowing efficient transport of water, minerals, and sugars throughout the plant. This lets them grow taller and live farther from constant moisture, unlike bryophytes, which rely heavily on diffusion. Alright, planties, we have a second adaptation of the pteridophytes. So they have something called a true root. You can't see it here because this one's plucked out of the ground, but if you go and look at the other ones on the ground, you can see the true roots developing under, which bryophytes, like our moss that we just looked at, don't obtain. So the true roots provide structural support and water absorption, which allow it to live in a wider range compared to our bryophytes. Hey planties, the third and final adaptation we want to talk about for our pteridophytes here is the true leaf structure that they possess. So the true leaf structure provides extra surface area for more energy to be obtained through photosynthesis, which the bryophytes lack because they are only simple leaf-like structures.
For our third example, we have the gymnosperms. The example that we chose was the eastern white pine. Here's a full view.
Come here, plant hunters. First, we have to show you our first adaptation of the gymnosperm. You see this massive woody trunk right here? So the gymnosperm here has developed an adaptation to make a stronger trunk with woody vascular tissue. It provides nutrients and structure to the plant, which pteridophytes cannot do. Whoa, planties, do you feel that wind? This is a perfect representation of wind pollination. If you want to follow me over to our eastern white pine, I can show you just how it works. So the wind, it takes the male gametes from the pine and it blows them out and disperses them into the environment, which then fertilizes and pollinates the female cones, which we're going to get to next. Whoa, planties, did you just see that? That was wind pollination action. The wind brought the male gametes to the female cone, pollinating it. Speaking of the cone, I'm going to hand this off to Mia and she's going to tell you even more about it. Alright, planties, you see this female cone right here? It's very, very protective, protecting all of our special sexual reproductive elements of our eastern white pine. This is very important because it allows pines like this to survive in harsh environments, such as Boone. It was 30 degrees the other morning, 30 degrees, and this pine is still surviving. Here we are with our last stop, the angiosperm. For our angiosperm example, we wanted to highlight the dandelion. Here's a close-up.
The first adaptation of the dandelion that we wanted to highlight is the flowering aspect. The flower provides a sweet nectar for animals to come and get the food. When the bee gets the nectar, it also brings the pollen to other plants in the environment, like these dandelions. This provides a more stable population compared to the gymnosperms that use wind pollination, which is much more random. Next adaptation we wanted to talk about was the fruits. The dandelion has a flowering aspect compared to other angiosperms that have fruiting bodies.
Here we have a holly tree, which is another example of an angiosperm. Here are the holly berries, which are a fruit. The benefits of a fruit in angiosperm are the protective encasing around the seeds, which gymnosperms lack.
Our third and final adaptation we'd like to talk about is the endosperm. Although not visible to the naked eye, angiosperms possess endosperms, which is a nutrient-rich triploid tissue that nourishes the developing seed at a faster and much more efficient rate of development compared to the haploid tissue found in gymnosperms.
And that's all we have for you today, planties. We learned a lot today, and we really hope that you did too.
Don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on that little bell for your notifications so you don't miss a future upload. We'll see you next time!